So I got our expansion valve on here now. It is the right orientation to the old one. The bigger threaded piece on the bottom and the smaller one to the right. I am just now putting it back on, wrapping it in some foam, and I will put it back in the box, remembering to put the thermostat that was inside of the fins back in there. That part is on the box itself, but we should be good to go. Alright, so I got the box all put back together with the new thermal expansion valve in there. I had to put some new foam on here. I was able to find some high density foam. You don't want the other stuff, it'll compress too easily. This stuff is kind of thick, but it should go in there with a little bit of, finagling. So the hardest part of this, I foresee, is getting this tube down there into that hole. These other two right here just go right up into there, and on the opposite side, this is going to go on the opposite side in the engine bay and seal them in there a little bit better. There's only 3 bolts. There's these 2 down here, and there's one up top, up here, somewhere up here. It's hard to see in the dark. It's up here, right here. There's a nut up here and 2 bolts that go down here, and that's all that holds it in, other than the bolt on the other side holding this on. So I'm gonna spend some time getting this in there, and that's about it. So I got the lines back on the inside the engine bay. This bolt down here is all I had to get back in there. So that's in there. Here in the cab, we got the box back in. It actually wasn't too bad. This foam actually worked out pretty well. The only thing I messed up was I forgot to plug in the top pigtail before I put it in, so I had to pull the top nut back off and put it back on. It wasn't too difficult though. Overall, the takeaway from so far what I've done is wherever possible, use new O-rings. Use the PAG oil that I'll show you right here. Use that to lubricate the O-rings, and just be careful not to over tighten stuff. You want to let the O-rings do the job on tightening. Just make sure everything is snug, and the O-rings should do their job. Okay, so I got the gauge set up right here. I know it's probably kind of hard to hear me, so I'm going to talk a little bit loud. We got the low side going over here for the R134A fitting, and we got the high side going down here for the R134A fitting, which already came on the hose. And we got the yellow line connected to the vacuum pump. What we're trying to wait and see is for that needle to drop down all the way to 30. Once it does, we'll go from there. But I kept both of these closed up until the time that once I turn the vacuum pump on, I then open both of these. Before I turn the vacuum pump off, I'm going to shut these again and then turn the vacuum pump off and see if we're holding pressure. Alright, so I thought everything was ready. Thought we were good to go. I started pulling the vacuum, and I was only getting about -10 out of 30. I thought maybe I had the vacuum pump set up wrong, or I thought maybe something was wrong with the vacuum. I got frustrated enough that I decided to throw a can of environmentally friendly gas at it to see, what was exactly going on. And in doing so, I saw a bunch of this gas come out the front of the truck. I checked all the stuff that I had went over, all the fittings and stuff like that. Nothing was coming out of there. I checked the cab. Nothing was coming out of there. I had previously checked the condenser. There was a wreck that happened before I had the truck, so that was something I wanted to check. I wanted to make sure all these lines were good, that none of them were punctured. What I failed to see was these tiny cracks, primarily up here, where you can see stuff is coming out. So what I did was, obviously I need a new condenser. Had I done what I'm about to show you prior, I probably could have saved myself some time, because now we're going into week 4. I have an AC compressor hooked up to the other part of this condenser right here. And like I said, I'd blown this thing out already. I just, you know, wasn't paying too much attention to it when I did. But if I give it some air right here, you are moving. So if I put a little bit more some soapy water on there, and you get the idea. But soapy water, if you don't have so anyways, if the system's under pressure, you can use soapy water to check to see where a leak might be. I decided to just use an air compressor and blow it through there and see. Like I said, I checked all the other fittings when I was running gas through. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to buy a new condenser now. So I'm gonna order that, get that put in, which is gonna be an adventure all of its own. Hopefully then I'll be able to pull the vacuum, get it charged, and have some AC going, hopefully before winter. So I got the condenser out, right here. I just had to take the bottom, or the core support out. I went ahead and removed the plastic from the bottom as well. I'm gonna go ahead and clean it up and spray paint it. No, it's just plastic, but I'm gonna do what I can with it. Same thing with the grill. While I have it apart, I'm waiting on the new condenser tomorrow with a new filter dryer. I got these lines plugged off for now, just so nothing gets up in there, because I'm still gonna drive the truck, because there's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't have the condenser on there or the grill. So that's where we're at, waiting on the new parts tomorrow. All right, so I got the new condenser in. I put a new filter dryer on there just to be safe. I didn't want to take any chances with using the other one, even though I just got it. I replaced the high pressure line on here with a brand new one. I'm vacuuming out the system now, and we want that to get down to 29. Last time it was only going to about 10. So I'm gonna let this vacuum for a little bit, and I'm gonna turn it off and see if it's holding. And if it is, I'm gonna continue vacuuming and hopefully have this thing charged by the end of the night. So yeah, hopefully it goes well. All right, so I pulled the vacuum and I pulled this line off, and I heard some air escape. I looked into it. It's a brand new line, but the Schrader valve in it was bad. The other line that I replaced this with had a good Schrader valve, so I put it in and double checked it, and there was no air escaping. I just went through and did another vacuum on it for another 45 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to charge this thing now. Got a couple cans. I decided not to use the one with stop leak in it. I looked into that, and that was all bad news, especially with the new thermal expansion valve. The stuff in the stop leak can get in there and clog stuff up. So I decided not to go with that. Here in Washington State, they don't give you anything for the R134A fittings. I happen to have an extra hose, so this is what I'm going to use to charge it with up over here. I want to get about 40 psi is what I was reading, with the temperature out here being about 80 degrees right now. So I'm going to do that, and I won't really have a way to check the high side pressure, but we're just going to take a little chance on that. Not the ideal way to do it, but that's how we're going to do it. So report back after that. I got cold air coming out. When I give it more gas, it gets colder. I'm going to call that good enough for now. I'll assess the pressure tomorrow with the gauges, but I got cold air coming out, and that is good enough for me. So the AC kicks off. I don't know if you can hear that, but then we're good. And we got cold air coming out. So the compressor made a little bit of grinding noise until the oil kicked into it. But it's a 30-year-old truck, and I don't know the last time when the AC was running, but after 4 weeks of messing with it, it's good.